Now, a lot of dislocation has occurred in the past few years in Nigeria because of COVID-19 and a succession of poorly executed economic policies. The cumulative impact is what's basically driving the current mass movement of skilled professionals outside the country, otherwise known as Japa syndrome. However, analysts are saying that digital transformation is coming to the rescue. We're now being joined by Stephen Oniya, founder and CEO of Soft City Group, for a brief chat. Stephen, it's good to have you with us. All right, so for the benefit of the viewers, what is digital transformation and how does an organization start the digital transformation journey, you think?
Okay, digital transformation in itself, it's a current trend that was built on the previous trends of digitization, which is conversion of analog signals to digital signals, then digitalizations of optimizing processes and making work simpler. And digital transformation itself is creating new opportunities and building new business models out of existing processes using technology. Now, to anyone, it could be described in different ways depending on the niche and project you're working on. I want you to know digital transformation is not completely in itself the guarantor of success. A Forbes study showed that 70% of digital transformation projects are likely to fail. That means not achieve their goals. While a report by McKinsey showed that 1.6 times, a digital transformation is 1.6 times more likely to be successful if the right chief digital officer is in place. That means the people drive the processes. Now, the culture and the risk appetite determine a lot how the outcome of digital transformation would be. Now, from a practitioner's perspective, I would define digital transformation as the adoption of technology to aid the interaction of people and processes towards a culture that embraces a well-calculated risk and guarantees value-driven results. So that is digital transformation.
Right.
All right, permit me to rephrase the next question, because certainly when we talk about digital transformation and all in that particular ecosystem, there is always a huge emphasis on blue ocean strategy, if you understand what I mean.
Absolutely.
As against the red ocean strategy. So does it make any sense that people are leaving less saturated markets and trying to go to more competitive markets, more saturated markets, understanding that if you stay here and be a pioneer, you reap the dividends down the line, as against probably traveling abroad and trying to offer your services in a very competitive and a highly volatile market?
Okay. Before I reference its making of sense, there was a research conducted by Accenture in which it was they interviewed about 1,600 software developers and also interviewed about 25 startups in the ecosystem and other players in the ecosystem. And it was discovered that 38% of software developers in Africa actually work for a company headquartered outside the continent. So the exodus in this generation, which we popularly call Japa, is a reality, which, well, to the individual taking that decision, it might make sense. But to us as a country or as a continent in Africa, it does not make sense. It does not make sense in any way, because if you look at what we've seen in the past, the World Economic Forum already released a statement saying, Africa, if we can sustain and accelerate our structural reforms, that we have the capacity to emulate the kind of growth seen in China in the past 50 years. And it was also reported that the GDP contribution of digital transformation in Africa, and I think this was by Accenture, the GDP contribution to Africa is about $180 billion, which the World Economic Forum also further said $100 trillion to the global economy by digital transformation. So I think the infrastructures we have in place and the system we have here needs to help the individuals making decisions to make sense of their decision to leave. But do I blame anybody for leaving? No, I don't. Do I criticize anybody for leaving? No, I don't. But we, the local operators in Nigeria, as a practitioner, we struggle with training talent. We struggle with this exodus. You find yourself, you hire a talent, you train them for 6-7 months, they work for you for 6 months, 1 year, and they exit your company to a company in Canada. That's brain drain on a massive scale. We've started discussing that it would get to a stage where this exodus should become a force majeure situation in law. Because when you're on contract and a team just disappears and your projects are hanging, so do you?
No, but people blame that on the fact that when you talk about comparable wages.
Well, okay.
The developers and some of these IT people are less valued here in terms of wage structure, in terms of acceptance, in terms of work environment as against what is obtainable probably in Canada, in the US, or maybe in the UK.
Well, let me be emphatic about that. When you say less valued, and maybe you want to say less remunerated,
yes.
Because we place good,
part of it.
Yes, we place good value on our developers. We have a big team in my own company, and we don't only consider the financial gain for us. It's the continuous development they experience. Now, you see, most of these young talents, most of them in the tech industry, they don't even really leave. They are in their homes doing 5-6 jobs. But can a single company compete with what you would earn from 5-6 jobs from a company headquartered in Canada or US? It's going to be hard to compete. But if we have a futuristic guarantee where they know in a long term the potentials and the benefit I stand to gain from this organization in terms of my future, my continuous development, and my eventual capacity to achieve my goals and objectives, if we can guarantee that, we don't need to compete with the wages. Is it possible to compete with the wages? When you're working with 5 multinationals and you're sitting in the comfort of your room, and we here are telling you we want to give you 3 million naira gross per month, and you are telling us you are already earning 9 million naira, 10 million naira. We have senior developers that earn as high as 13 million naira monthly. Now, no company wants to compete with that kind of wage structure. But does this company give you the kind of future we can give you in terms of continuous development? I'm not speaking for every organization now, but the truth is, the reality is that there is more to what you can get than just the financial remuneration.
And of course, notwithstanding, we're still losing more than we're actually replenishing.
Exactly.
Point noted. But let's talk about Nigeria's fragile economy and how does the country actually benefit from digital transformation process, you think?
Okay. Well, I want to start by saying Nigeria started well. And I'm talking from an ecosystem player. We've started well. And also, we are on the right track. But we have a very high potential to fail. Very high potential to fail. Because the fact that we've started well and we're on the right track, you will see we have several frameworks and legislation that is enabling the ecosystem. We had the NDPR in 2019. We have had the startup bill. We've had several implementations from both the government and co-creation of ecosystem players. But if we don't institutionalize the talent production in this country from universities, institutions like that, if we don't give the capacity to train professionals, we are bound to fail. Because the people component of a digital journey is essential to success. Now, you find the reality we find about our graduates are not equipped with skills, advanced skills like AI, data science, robotics. We don't have an institutional system that equips teams with that kind of capacity. I've worked with teams across the world, and you will see even an undergraduate in schools, in universities like in India, they are already versed with composable algorithms. They are good with artificial intelligence. But you speak to a computer science graduate in the Nigerian system, you find out they're still struggling with the likes of HTML and CSS. And God knows, you can't put it on them because these guys are doing the best. But we need to institutionalize this production of talent in the Nigerian ecosystem.
All right, I would have loved to find out about how this democracy affects all of this, because we're moving into another election cycle. Things will change. You spoke about the digitalization that was supposed to happen and didn't happen. But we're actually out of time. Just to say thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
On Newsday.
You're welcome.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.